Pope Francis is due to arrive in Ireland in August as part of the World Meeting of Families. It'll be the first papal visit to Ireland since Pope John Paul in 1979, and it comes with a price tag of around €20 million. And Norah Casey, you're finding most of that money, I believe. 15 million has to be found somewhere. I think 5 million is expected, or its hope will come from church collections. But tell us about the 15 million.
So I guess I started working on this a little while ago, quite some time ago actually, and people have been surprised that I've been involved in the Pope's visit to Ireland. I think for me he's a superstar. I think this Pope above all others has given me back my faith. Like most Irish people, I have a checkered history with Catholicism, from being a cradle Catholic all the way through to, famously people know I divorced, I had IVF. I fell out with the Catholic Church when my husband died and have come back into Catholicism. I don't think it's the worst thing in the world to say that I'm a Catholic in modern Ireland, but sometimes it feels that it is. So raising funds for the Pope's visit means taxpayers don't have to pay for it, I suppose, in the first instance. And secondly, there are a number of high-profile people who do like this Pope very much, who do feel that he is trying to espouse new liberal values, and so I agreed to take it on board. I don't take a lot of things on board, by the way, so I usually say no to most things. I have to feel that I can make a difference, and I do think his visit to Ireland will be pretty monumental.
So where are you going to find this money? I mean, it's a huge task to find 15 million euro. Are you focused on the high net worth people, big business? Where are you going?
We have two fundraising teams in America. As you know, the last World Meeting of Families was held in Philadelphia, so this is a global event that happens to be held in Ireland. So what's amazing about it is it also brings in tens of thousands of people. Unlike President Obama or the Queen, lots of people will come into Ireland as a result of this. Naturally, a lot of the funds does come through American donors, high net worth individuals in Ireland. We've just finished a piece of work on corporates that we would like to work with. Obviously, if you're involved in working with the Pope, people who know Pope Francis know that he's quite a respectful man. He's not the kind who wants lavish cars. He doesn't want to stay in posh places. One of the things he'd like to do is visit prisons, visit the homeless. So working with corporates that fulfill moral, ethical obligations, good workplace practices are really important to us.
So there are some businesses and individuals that you will not take money from. Is that,
yes.
Would that be fair to say?
That's true, yes.
Michael Nugent, you will not be donating to this event, I assume?
No, and I would hope that I won't be indirectly donating through my taxes either. And I have absolutely no problem with the Pope visiting, with Catholics having whatever religious festivities that they want to have, but the state should stay out of this. The Taoiseach has said that the state will be at the disposal of the Catholic Church. That's an outrageous position to take, given that this organisation owes us hundreds of millions of euro in redress money.
Well, the Taoiseach has said this will be treated as a state event, and I assume that we will be looking after, the state will be looking after some of the security elements.
It's a pastoral event, so the Pope always comes to this event. It happens to be in Ireland. It's a pastoral event. He will inevitably meet heads of state while he's here.
Well, the idea of it being a state event is absurd as well, because the Catholic Church has this chameleon-like ability to be a state when it suits it and to be a religion when it suits it. It's actually a few buildings and a park in the middle of Rome. It doesn't have a proper population. It doesn't have an economy. It doesn't have any of the attributes that a state is supposed to have. And yet this fiction is built up that enables it to hide behind diplomatic immunity when it's accused of sex crimes, and then be a religion when it suits it to be a religion.
But you're entitled to hold all of that and to believe all of that, but you must welcome the fact that this fundraising is taking place rather than people being involuntarily expected to cough up through their taxes.
Sure, and I've no problem with that, although I would suggest as an outsider that if Catholics are raising money on that scale in Ireland at the moment, that they might consider putting some of it towards the redress scheme.
Well, it's not just Catholics.
Rather than towards this.
We have members of other faith, including the Jewish community, who have given funds towards this visit. So I would say that most people see this as, for the first time, quite an iconic visit. I think that the last visit of the Pope to Ireland, I was there for it. I live in the Phoenix Park, so of course I was. it was a huge event in Ireland. I do think this Pope is coming into a very different Ireland. I think the lens of the world will be on Ireland and this visit. In Philadelphia, 5,000 media were registered. There was, billions of people who watched it. So in Ireland, I think the interest level is far higher.
Okay, well, Dave O'Connell, you were there in 1979 too.
I was
for the last visit. You were probably a very different person. You were involved in one of the choirs.
Yeah, it's hard to see it now for those that don't remember from then. I was a choir boy back in 1979 in Ballybrit. One of the most memorable occasions, I have to say, of my life. An occasion where 300,000 young people arrived into the middle of a racecourse on a wet and boggy West of Ireland day. Not that there's anything unusual with wet and boggy days in the West of Ireland, but a day that will live long in the memory. And I actually hope that this creates those kind of memories for those that want to be there again, because it's something, there's not too many things that happen in one's life that stay with one forever, and that was one for me.
And do you think that this occasion will be as momentous as 1979 was? I mean, as Norah said, it's a very different Ireland. It's
a very different Ireland. I could be facetious and say that one of the fundamental differences, there was nobody looking for selfies back in 1979. I think that everybody will be doing that this time. It's a very different Ireland. The Catholic Church in Ireland is not just made up of Irish people anymore. And I know in my own world that the non-Irish people that are involved at the core of the church, whether they're from Africa, whether they're from Poland, have given a new energy and a new vibrancy to so many individual churches around the country. And I hope that that's reflected in this. To answer your question, will it be the same as it was in 1979? That was our fundamental moment. That was our watershed moment. It won't be for me, but I hope it is for a generation that are the age now that I was then.
Okay. And Norah, you've been attacked by some people, have you, for taking on this role?
I think that I'm known as a woman who supports women. I was an ambassador for the Marriage Equality Campaign. I see all those things as not being different in terms of my moral compass to my Catholicism. I think what I found is that it's very difficult in Ireland sometimes to say you're a Catholic because people then start to accuse you of being an apologist for the Catholic Church, of condoning some of the things that happened in the Catholic Church, which I will never do. I would never...
Even some of the things that are happening now, with this event, there was a change to the brochure because there was a same-sex couple in that brochure and that was removed. That's only happened in recent days. I mean, they're very difficult things for people in modern-day Ireland to cope with.
And difficult for me too. And when I came on board, Archbishop Dermot Martin said categorically this was an inclusive event that included everybody, all shades, all sizes, all sexes, members of the LGBT community. Up on his site and his programmes, there's videos of people who are openly talking about being gay, a mother who talks about the difficulties of having a gay son. I would not be involved in something where I felt that it would exclude people that I have fought my whole life to defend. And that's anybody from socially marginalised, ethnic, women, gender issues. I would not.
But does that brochure change not tell us that those people are excluded?
Well, so the photographs were removed, and I don't know who removed them. So I can only work on the basis that I believe fundamentally that has nothing to do with what's going to happen at this event.
And what about our former head of state, Mary McAleese, who was uninvited from an event at the Vatican? I mean, what do you say to that? How do you feel about that?
I would never condone that. I think Mary McAleese is an amazing, inspirational woman. I think, in fact, what's happened is the opposite. I think, just to be clear, Pope Francis is a pioneer and he treads a very fine line. At times, do I think Liberals think he could go further? Of course he could. Do I think Conservatives feel that he goes too far? Yes, he does. There are even people who say to me, is the Pope a Catholic? And they mean it in a real way because he espouses different values. But I do think that Mary McAleese is no less a Catholic today than she was 3 weeks ago. And when they stopped her from speaking, what happened is she went from being a member of a panel on an obscure event that took place in the Vatican that nobody ever reported and the media never talked about. She's now the keynote opening speaker at an event that the whole world is going to be watching. So even though certain factions tried to silence her...
Because the Vatican didn't want her. You know, it wasn't the Vatican that made her...
But they also magnified her voice. So you either throw bricks from the outside or you say at some point, I'm a Catholic, nobody's going to define what I am, nobody's going to tell me what it means to be a Catholic, I'm not going to defend people who do heinous things, I'm not going to condone corruption or abuse or marginalising women or suppressing them, but I'm still a Catholic.
OK, I want to just come to some raised hands in our audience here. I'm going to start with the young girl there with your hand raised. Go ahead.
Hiya. So I'm currently leading the Catholic Society in UCD, and I think you'd be surprised by the amount of people I meet who have faith and believe in God. I'm so excited for the Pope to be visiting in August. I know like my faith has had such an important impact on me and my life, and Pope Francis was one of the people who did get me into my faith. Like, he just promotes love, he promotes nothing but love, and he has been asked his questions like on different things like gay marriage, and he does say things like, who am I to judge, you know?
Okay, so Michael, there are plenty of people like our
That's
contributor there who will
not
really
true.
welcome this visit.
It's simply not true to suggest that this Pope is a liberal or even approaching a liberal. The Catholic Church now, 2/3 of Catholics are now in the global south. That's where the Catholic Church's market is. They're more conservative, they're more superstitious. The current Pope did not say, who am I to judge gay people? He said, who am I to judge gay people who want to become priests? He wasn't talking about homosexuality being okay, he was talking about being priests being okay. He has said that he would punch somebody in the face if they insulted his mother. He has one of the first things he did when he became Pope was to endorse an organisation of exorcists in the Vatican. He is one of the most, he talks about the devil as a person more than any recent Pope. He is one of the most conservative popes that we've had in generations, yet he has very good PR in the global north.
Okay, the gentleman sitting beside our last contributor, yes, go ahead.
I represent the Association of Catholics in Ireland, and we are a lay reform and renewal group trying to bring about reform in the Church. So we would cast a critical eye on what happens in the Church, but we would be certainly supportive of the reform and renewal which Pope Francis is trying to bring about.
And you're looking forward to this visit?
Certainly looking forward to the visit. It's very important to remember two points I'd make. One, this man is a world leader. No other world leader in the last couple of years has spoken and done so much to talking about peace, talking about the environment. His Laudate Si encyclical has been widely acclaimed. Refugees, when he became Pope, within a matter of weeks, he went to Lampedusa Island, where the immigrants were all landing, coming across the Mediterranean. So his actions reflect what's in his heart. The other point I wanted to make was that it is a world event. Now, Norah has referred to this. It's a world event. People are going to come from all over the world. If you're holding any kind of a conference or convention in Dublin and you're attracting people from around the world, you will get government support.
Okay.
So the question of government support is absolutely
Dave, just to come back to you
essential.
finally on that point, I mean, it is an important international event from
is.
Ireland. Even if you share Michael's views, we're going to have a hell of a lot of people coming here for those days in August.
Yes, we
Who
are.
wouldn't otherwise come.
Absolutely, and that's, I suppose, the pure finance of this thing. But it also does put us in the eyes of the world, and certainly in terms of the Catholic world for those couple of days. I think we would always put our best foot forward. Maybe nobody likes the analogy, but there were those who didn't want the Queen to visit Ireland. We were in the front line for a few days there. There are many things we don't like about the royal family. We wouldn't be a nation of royalists, but we welcomed her, we embraced her. It cost us financially at that stage. We reap the reward afterwards. I think we can see the Pope in the same light.
All right. Well, Dave and Michael and Norah, thank you all very much indeed for coming in tonight.